All right. So I want to say thank you to Shannon and Dr. Angie and Dr. Janet as well for being on today and sharing your struggles and how you overcame them. I feel like this is a really important topic because, our podcast is called the Sales Journey Podcast. And when I first created it, I had this hope of highlighting people at different parts of their journey. I know that the $1 million earners, they get a lot of play in network marketing, but there's this in between, which is 99.9% of the people that are just trying to get to the next step. And what I really want to do is highlight the success of the people who are at step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, all the way. And I really want to honor everyone who is just dealing with life and their business. I think no matter what, everyone, we're just all human. And so sometimes we have these huge life things that happen and sometimes we don't. And a lot of people will say, well, I stalled out in my business because of this big thing. And that really, really stinks. But I'm so grateful that you guys wanted to come on today and share how you had this big thing, yet your business still grew. This isn't to make people who their business didn't grow feel bad, but to provide inspiration to those who have a big thing that are happening and they're wondering, can I still grow? What do you guys think about that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Cool. Let's do this. So we're going to start off with Angie. So just give us a quick, where was your business before? Where is your business now? And what was your life thing that really got you?
Life thing. Okay. So the challenges first, is that what we're talking about? So
however you want to do it. So what life challenges did you run into?
Well, I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor, but as you're in the cancer club, you're never done. So just in the last couple months, my tumor markers have started to say hello again. And so I have to go through some different medication changes and do some more life stuff, health stuff, practicing what I preach all the time with our nonprofit. But just doing life. And I have a chiropractic practice, and doing doTERRA. My doTERRA business was just kind of humming along. I was just kind of sitting back and learning and loving your training and kind of putting the ducks in a row. And then this past year, I've entered the process of a divorce. So that's been another big, what? 20 years of marriage. And my whole foundation of my financial foundation is going to be shifting, and it feels like it's imploding all around me. So that has to stay in a box over there. But that's been the fire that's really allowed me to double my whole organization in doTERRA. I've moved my practice that was, next to his into a better space, which is much cheaper, much more amazing. And I mean, I've been blessed with a doctor that keeps referring me patients every week, 2 or 3 a week. And so it's been amazing, but at the same time, it's just, you just keep showing up. You just keep showing up, and the drive and the hard stuff, it just gives you that grit to go and kick some more butt, because I'm not going to let it stop me or define me or any of that. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I love that. Now, you shared some stats with me. Do you mind if I share them?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned your chiropractic practice before all this stuff was doing $2,000 to $3,000, I assume, a month?
Yes, and I'm permanently disabled. So, add that to the kind of just not really practicing, but now it's like, go.
You were supposed to come with one life challenge. You came with cancer, divorce, and disablement. I mean, now you're just trying to make
the permanent disabled came first, and then I just started going back slowly into practice. But now it's like, let's really now make some money.
Yeah. So your business went from $2,000 to $3,000 per month, and now you mentioned it's doing $8,000 per month.
Yeah.
So well done. You mentioned that your little baby doTERRA business that you just pretty recently got going, right? Went from 2,000 in sales to 5,000 in sales, which is just phenomenal. So congratulations to be able to manage a very successful chiropractic business plus your network marketing business and of course those other three things. So tell us, what do you think are the keys to your ability to grow through these horrible, instances? What do you think it is?
I think for me, one of the big things is just doing one thing. When the overwhelm comes, I pause, I take a break. Some days are like, oh my gosh, when you're dealing with appointments and meetings that are emotionally just really hard, I give myself grace. And then I wake up the next day and it's a new day. So really just doing one thing at a time. Just keep moving has been my phrase. And then once I get to the office, it's like, that's my jam. My patients are awesome. I'm in my place. I'm not thinking about all the other stuff that's on in my life, but I'm there. I'm 100% focused. And then when it's doTERRA stuff and doTERRA time, you're in the zone. So just doing one thing and just get up. I would love to just put the covers over my head. And sometimes I've done that, but it doesn't last 3 months, 6 months. It lasts half a day, a couple hours, maybe a day, but just keep moving.
I love that. Now, I feel like a lot of people run into challenges and they kind of do this whole, well, I'm going to do less work because, now I need to spend more time with my family, attend to these things and things like that. It seems like you've really actually dove in, become more present. So can you explain that a little bit more?
I've definitely become more bold, if you will. I ain't got time. I ain't got time to waste. I got the cancer club chiming over here. I got to financially get set. I've got to take care of my 15-year-old boy. And I ain't got time. I ain't got time to hang out in a lower rank in doTERRA. I need to get to Presidential Diamond, and I need to do it now. Okay. So that's been kind of my fire to, it's almost been like my life raft too. Like my practice and doTERRA have been a life raft for me to hold on to the goodness, hold on to the positivity in my life, hold on to the great people that I'm surrounded with. Those are the people that bring joy to my life. And so it really helps to counteract some of the hard stuff and the stressful stuff and the hurt and the pain. So
yeah, I love that. That's so good. Okay. So you mentioned here before, some of the keys to your success, time mapping, planning your time and asking for help. What? No.
What?
Yeah. So tell us more.
Right? I got it. That's been my MO forever. And through cancer, I've had to ask for help. But now, even in my business, it's like I've got a friend who's kind of helping me assist when she can. And it's like, okay, I can't do everything, the paperwork, the administrative stuff. I'm asking for help there. Your program has been amazing. It's made such a great path of clarity for me. And so just getting through the sales foundation, and then I can't wait to start the leadership here soon. And you just make it easier, so those are the tools I've used to help me get there, because failure is not an option, really.
Yeah. You mentioned, that you started asking for help in your chiropractic practice. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it went from 2 to 3K to 8K. Yeah. So how do you think your willingness to ask for help, whether you are battling with cancer or not battling with cancer, impacts your ability to be successful?
I think it's huge. I think it's like a whole total CEO management level. Like if you're the CEO of this huge multi-million-dollar organization, you should not be doing the paperwork, the printing of the front office and, checking insurances. You can't do it that way. I've learned this in practice management my whole life. I've been a chiropractor for 20 years. They always taught you're worth $250 an hour. You shouldn't be doing the 15 or 20 or even $10 an hour jobs. So, yeah, that's been huge for me. And then it helps you feel less overwhelmed, right? It's like, oh, just have someone along my side, just helping me. It just makes you feel like you're getting more stuff done than you can breathe.
I love that. Awesome. Dr. Angie, thank you so much for telling your story. I'm sure we'll loop back around here in a moment.
Okay.
I love that. Dr. Janet, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Tell us about your challenge, your before and your after. We'll start there.
Okay. Yeah. So my before all this was going on, I was kind of mid-level in my company. I was making $1,200 to $1,600 a month. $200 to $600 of that was in new sales. And overall, my monthly team sales were around $11,000 and $12,000.
Can you pause for a second? You have another job, right?
Yeah. That is just my network marketing.
Okay.
business.
So what are you on the other side of your life?
On the other side of my life, do we need to get into that?
Can you just mention it?
Yeah, sure. So I do have my own practice as well. I'm a sole proprietor. I am a veterinarian, and I work for, if I don't work, I don't make money. And so that was critical in this kind of challenge situation because of what happened. So, and that's been going really good and holding steady and paying the bills. So, for sure. So,
I feel like that's an important part of the equation.
It is.
Story, right?
You're right. It is for sure. Okay. So the life challenge that I ran into was in mid-October. My dad, who has been my rock and my anchor, who I'm extremely close to, he's like the one person who believed in me when no one else would believe in me, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and he had no treatment options according to the oncologist. Mm-hmm. So I spent 2 weeks up in Michigan. I live in Texas. My practice is down in Austin, Texas. I took 2 weeks off and went up in late October, and he set him up with hospice and worked with the doctors and trying to figure out all the stuff that goes with that. And he actually passed away really quickly on November 9th. I had just started one of your courses, Please Recruit Responsibly, on November 7th, and he passed away on November 9th. And I spent the rest of November and most of December up in Michigan with my mom. I had to totally stop everything down here because my mom had lymphoma, and she's been in remission for 10 years now, but she's on oxygen, and my dad actually took care of her for the last 10 years. So I had to plan my dad's memorial, transfer everything over to my mom's name, and convince her to leave her home, her community, her church, where she's been for the past 40 years in Michigan, and move her to Texas. And I had to convince her to do that. And I also had to go through my entire, childhood home where I grew up and go through everything. And we had to get rid of almost everything in preparation for moving her. You can hear my voice shaking probably just even remembering it, because I was physically, emotionally, and just spiritually wrecked through that whole situation. I couldn't work my traditional job, because I was in another state, and with veterinary licensing, you're only licensed. You can only practice where you're licensed, and I certainly didn't have time or the desire to do anything other than help my mom during that time. So that is the challenge I went through. I got all emotional.
Sorry that I had this event.
It's okay. It's good. But let me tell you what happened during the challenge.
The good news. Tell us the good news.
The good stuff. So even though I had to kind of put a pause on my veterinary practice, my network marketing, it's so wonderful that I was doing this because it's so flexible. You can do it anywhere, right? So we have this wonderful technology. We can still communicate with people. But my take-home income actually jumped to $2,400 to $3,600 per month. So it doubled. And I had $900, $1,500 in new sales each month. Overall team volume jumped from 11 to 12,000 to 20 to 27,000. And I actually had my highest enrollment month, the same month my dad passed in November. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's well done. I'm just going to awkwardly transition to the next question because you know that I can't deal with emotions. So we'll keep going. What did you do during your life challenge to ensure that your business grew the way it did?
So as you can tell, I'm just an open book, right? So I didn't try to hide the fact that I was a freaking hot mess and I was in a lot of pain. You know, when you go through something like this, everything in your mind changes, right? You stop caring about the little stuff that doesn't matter, the petty arguments, like people freaking out about nothing. And life is too short for that. And you just really kind of refocus on the good in your life. And that's what I did. It was in November, so it kind of worked out, you know, with Thanksgiving and everything here in the US. So what I did is I kind of posted every day on social media, actually on Facebook, all the things that I was thankful for. And I tried to really not focus on just people, which a lot of people do during that season. But I was like, I am so thankful that I can take a deep breath and breathe. Things as simple as that. And like, I would look outside and it rained so much in Michigan when I was up there, and it was stormy. And one day the sky was just so blue and beautiful. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful for this blue sky. And I just shared that with everyone who would listen. I was just raw, authentic, and vulnerable, and totally unapologetic about it. I was like, this is what I'm going through. I did Facebook Live videos and probably cried once or twice in front of everyone on Facebook Live. And it was really therapeutic for me to do that stuff. And I had so many people come to me and just be like, thank you for sharing your feelings through all of this and what you're going through, because so many people do go through these types of things. You know, I use my products a lot. So my products are really helpful for dealing with emotional stuff. And I, you know, didn't really hesitate or care about what anybody thought. I just used them. They were helping me. And so I used them and I told people about them. I really also didn't focus on myself at all. So I spent all my time focusing on others. I actually suffered a little bit health-wise because of this. I gained 30 pounds because everyone was bringing us casseroles and delicious comfort food, and I ate them all. And I talk to my leaders a lot. So my leaders are my friends, and all of them knew 100% exactly what I was going through. And so when they were like, oh no, we can reschedule our call, I was like, no, please, let's keep our call, because it will keep me focused on something else. It'll be a good distraction, a welcome distraction. And so it helped me to focus on them and their goals and thinking outwardly instead of, you know, just constantly thinking about my own feelings. I couldn't work my traditional job because I was out of state. And so, you know, with my network marketing stuff, anybody who reached out to me at all, I would contact them immediately. I'd reach out to them. I'd focus on helping them. And whenever I felt really overwhelmed with what was going on, I'd just take a break and call one of my leaders or call a customer and try to set up an appointment of some sort. I just needed something else to focus on. And there were days when I couldn't do anything and I couldn't call anyone. And there were weeks when I could only do one thing, maybe the whole week. And the only reason I did that thing is because I was going through your course and that was our homework for the week. Mm-hmm. And I gave myself grace during those periods. I'm a person of faith. And so I prayed constantly. And we had a really good group. Our Please Recruit Responsibly group was super amazing. And the assignments, like I said, really kept me on track. And drew me back to my network marketing business when all this other stuff was going on. So we had a really good group in that it was a place where we could be vulnerable and, just tell each other what was going on and be upset about what was going on and not be judged, and then, figure out solutions to work through it all. And honestly, helping people gave me hope and purpose in an otherwise very dark time in my life. So it really, really helped me become a better person overall.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing all that. Yeah, well done. Can't even. And then we have
Janet.
Yeah, and then we have Shannon, who's quite literally the most hardcore story, I think. So, is everyone good? Do you guys need Kleenex, or we can keep going?
No, we're good.
All right, cool. So, Shannon, tell us a little bit about your challenges and what happened within your business.
Yeah. So, I left my corporate 6-figure job that I had for a long time because it was sucking my soul, and I wanted to do something different. So I joined my company, and I'll just be totally honest. I mean, historically, things have come easy to me. I'm generally like, if there's something I really want to do, I go at it and I do it, and I usually experience a lot of success. It's part of my personality is a little bit intense like that too, that I just get really like focused on something, and then I also have just had good luck, good fortune along the way. And so wasn't any different when I joined my network marketing company. It was something that I had already been doing for 15 years. I'd already been doing aromatherapy for 15 years. So this wasn't anything brand new. And I was like, oh, this is a thing now? Like, there's an opportunity here, like that I could actually make money doing the thing I've always sort of done as just an adjunct to my coaching work that I had been doing. And so I was really excited, and I went in and I sort of had the same results I normally have. I had tons of success. I was enrolling a lot of people. I was bringing in 6 to 12 new customers a month, sometimes more, but never less. Just loving it and having a great time. I was probably making around, I don't know, sort of like Janet, like somewhere like 1,500, 2,000 range, and going pretty quickly. I was growing really fast, faster than average for my company. So I was really thriving, and it was really exciting. But then I went on a work and business trip to Michigan, which is where I'm from also. And I got Lyme disease. So at the time I didn't know it. I was terribly misinformed about Lyme, and that's a totally different call. But my health just started rapidly declining, and I'm in the health field. I worked in the corporate health field. I coached people on their health forever. And I just was really sick. I mean, I had severe energy depletion and fatigue and rapid weight gain. My adrenal system almost completely tanked to the point of being in the hospital. Lots of pain and just a lot of different things. So my entire body system started just disintegrating. And so it took a while before I was like diagnosed, but even in that year time, I mean, it was a lot of work, working with a functional medicine doctor and a naturopath and all these different things. I was spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on my care. And so going from where I was to all of a sudden where I, ended up was a really hard adjustment. I would say, looking back, I didn't get depressed only because, again, like I'm sort of a very focused energizer person. So I didn't even really sit with that feeling for a little while. That didn't come till later, but it was hard. I mean, there were people in my life that thought maybe I was going to die. And so, but even through all of that, I was still working on my doTERRA business. I had a large beginning of a business, and I loved what I was doing. I had a responsibility to my team and to my customers. And so, I mean, I'm still doing that. I just had to do it in a slightly different way. For me, it just looked like I couldn't do 20 things at a time. I could only do one or two of the most important things. And even then, I still didn't learn the lesson that I've learned now, which is, again, back to, it's already been said, asking for help. Didn't even know that was a concept, but that was a good lesson that I learned. But I needed to, because, I mean, my business maintained because I had a decent foundation, although, you know, I was doing really well at like consistent follow-up with my customers and with my team and doing all these things, and a lot of that suffered. So, I mean, there was like this decrease in the growth of my business. I was still always, you know, bringing in a couple customers a month, and still always have to this day, but you know, I wasn't just doing all that consistent business activity that I needed to do, because I was also doing it at a really high level. So I had set the bar pretty high for myself. And so when you go through a really sort of traumatic experience, there's a couple adjustments that have to happen, you know, and I had to just learn that things were going to look maybe a little bit different than they did. But I still decided to do a corporate sponsored travel program, which is called Diamond Club. And so I signed up for that, and I was like, I can do this. I have this great team. You know, I've got my routine down. I can do anything I want, right? So then when I did that, so I started that. At the same time, my husband's like, so there's this great job in San Diego. We were living in Denver at the time. What do you think? I was like, sure. I love San Diego. And so it turns out he gets the job. And the same day that I started my travel program, we moved out of Colorado, and he went to San Diego. My kids went to Phoenix with my mom, and I got on the airplane and spent 4 months traveling to all over the country. So I did that, and with the thought that like it really would help me to get my business get it back on track, right? I can go out, I can support my team, I can do all of these things, and then really it'll be easier for me later if I do that. That wasn't really the case, actually. It was a lot of pressure on my team that I wasn't prepared for. Unfortunately, I didn't go through sales training before this, right? So my team wasn't really well prepared. I wasn't honestly that well prepared, and this is, again, a separate call. You know, I did it, and then I come back to San Diego, and I don't have a local team at all here. So this has been 2 years now. So I've just been spending time like rebuilding my business, trying to balance my health, which is still, I think now I'm starting to get to the other side maybe, or this new normal. You know, but through all of that, I think for me, the keys were, the two things I wrote down are two things that were both said by both of you. Failure wasn't an option for me throughout. And I don't think, I can't recommend just being this like, just push through it kind of person. I actually think that's not a great idea. I wish I wouldn't have done that. But because I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, I mean, I wasn't going to give up on my business. It would have been really easy. There's a lot of days that I didn't get out of bed, and it would have been really easy to be like, I can't do this. It's not worth it. You know, my team isn't doing this anymore, or I lost this person, or I haven't been following up with my customers like I needed to, or, you know, all these sort of like blame things that I could have done and given up. But instead I just realized that like, this is what I want to do. And I needed to make adjustments and learn how to be flexible. And that's where Emerge came in, is it really did teach me that like, there's much more efficient and better ways to go about my business that I think were more sustainable. And so it was allowed me to get back on sort of on the horse. And then the other thing was, both of you said it, is grace. You just have to have a lot of grace when you run your own business in general. I mean, but then especially when you go through a major challenge, you know, you have to have a lot of grace with yourself. I'm not going to be the same person that I was before I got sick. It's just not, it's not going to be that way, you know, and I don't necessarily want to be that way, but I have to have a lot of grace that it means that, you know, sometimes there's things that I'm going to do for my business that are income producing activities, but they're things that will be better in the long run, but that's all that I can do that day. You know, maybe there's a day I can't get on the phone and call people because my brain's not working the way that, you know, that I want it to. And so I know I'm going to get that call And I'm not going to remember half of the things that I wanted to say, or I'm going to sound sort of like an idiot. And so I put it off. I do that the next day. And on the other day, I focus on, making my list of all the customers that need follow-up, or doing some of my admin work that needs to be done. So I think if you're always moving forward, and you recognize that moving forward doesn't mean like by leaps and bounds. Sometimes it means by just taking one more step and not giving up and doing the one thing that you physically can do on that day or emotionally can do on that day. I think that's really the most important thing that you can do for your business and your team and your customers.
That's such good advice. Awesome. I have a couple of follow-up questions for the three of you. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right.
Please.
I work with, I work in our recruiting course. I work with a lot of leaders just amongst, my personal clients, mastermind clients, group coaching and such. And they'll be like, oh, I was on pace. And then this life circumstance happened to such and such qualifier. What advice would you get, as you are all on the other side of it, having a life circumstance, what advice would you give to a leader who is leading someone who's going through a hard life circumstance?
Grace, the same. I mean, I have I have young people on my team that are having their first babies. And so, they're a key part of my team, and they're taking maternity leave, which they have the right to, and they deserve, and their baby deserves, and I think it's part of that. It's just, you have to have a lot of grace and remember that just because somebody's going through a adjustment period in their life doesn't mean that they're going to give up on their business. You don't have to react out of fear that they're not ever going to come back, or that everything's going to fall apart, and that there may be periods when people can't do anything at all, and you just focus on the little things that you can do to support them during that time, so that they find that it's like worthwhile to come back.
Yeah, I feel like that's usually it. Like it's almost the extreme. What I notice in hearing what you guys said, a theme, is that each of you said that you had this horrible life circumstance that was going on, but you still loved your business, and working in it gave you joy while you were going through this hard time. I have known, my observation has been that it's like life circumstance.
Run.
Hands off. Call me when you're ready. And is that what you would have wanted from your leader?
No.
I think that's definitely the tendency for people, is because they're like, oh, you're going through this thing. Go ahead and take a break, whatever. And I mean, I talk to my upline regularly during it. And, honestly, I was helping her through some stuff too. But to be honest, even just calling him, telling him, hey, I'm here for you and I love you. And do you want to talk? It doesn't have to be about, work or anything like that. Or even offering a specific thing that might be helpful. Say, hey, if I came and watched the kids tonight, would that be helpful for you? If they're local or something like that. Because sometimes when you're going through that stuff, like what Shannon was saying, your brain is like, you can't even think. And so you don't even know what to ask for half the time. And so when people offer you very specific things, it makes it easier to say yes when you're going through something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're in the business as a leader. We're in the business of people. And this is life. This is people. And so it's to create those relationships with our people, our leaders, and walk them through it. It doesn't mean they're gone or disappearing. It just means, okay, we need to pause, or what do you need right now? And my team, I've had many coffee dates as well, or text messages, just checking on you. And those are the things that kept me moving forward and saying, wow, this is this is a much different culture than another business that I might have been with, or because it's the heart first, right? So that's what makes this family different. The doTERRA family it's people first. The oils come, the business comes, the referrals come, but it's that connectedness connectedness, with our team. That
Yeah.
is what I think makes you successful.
Yeah.
Right?
That's so good. And what Shannon mentioned that I just want to emphasize, because you said it very quickly, but I thought it was so brilliant, is you're giving your people grace, even if they only do one or two things, not giving them like grace to just like pull back and away and call me when this thing is over. And so would it be fair to say, or am I just, being a jerky, mean coach, that it would be okay for your leaders to ask something like, okay, do you still want to grow in your business despite this other thing? And if so, let's just focus on one thing and then the next thing and then the next thing. Like, is there value in that? Or should they just let you try to figure it out on your own?
Oh, I think I think that's good coaching. I mean, we're all just, if you can be coaching or just being a good friend, even, I mean, I think I do this with my best friends in normal life. It's just saying, okay, so how do you see this working for you? What do you need? What is it that I can do to support you through this? What do you want to do? Do you want me to check in on you? Do you want me to lay off? Do you want me, and you're asking just normal human questions about what people want. And I think the danger always is when you're operating out of fear. And I recognize this a lot in myself and ask myself this question is, if I'm asking questions out of fear, then I'm coming from the wrong place. If I'm afraid that my leader that's pregnant is going to, disappear on me afterwards, then it's going to sound like me saying, things about pushing them to do more in their business, to not let their business fall apart, or, and all of these sort of things. But if I'm really coming at it from a coaching perspective, it's their business. They want it to succeed just as much as I do. It just means that they're going to go through a period where they need to make adjustments, just like we all have, and just asking what you can do, I think is really important. And just being a responsible business owner.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. You all mentioned that sometimes if you just did one thing, you would just do that one thing. I have noticed personally that when I am constrained by whatever challenges around me and I don't have time for all of the stuff, my business grows as well. And so what do you think what was the one thing for each of you that moved your business forward? So if someone were to listen, they'd be like, all right, well, do one thing. This is what it is. What would you say? So Angie, if you want to go first, and then Jane.
I think for me, the I want to say brain mapping, but it's not brain. It's your time. Your time mapping exercises. A friend of mine taught me to, I forget the name of this process, but you write down the night before your day, and then what are the top, because I like to do everything too, right, Tasha? But I only get 3 or 5 things. Mm-hmm. And so that's my list that my subconscious is working on through my sleep, and then my day, I kind of already know my schedule. Okay, it's 2:00. I need to be moving on to this thing. And what happens is I get to tell myself I only have to do one of those 3 things. And if I get to do an extra couple, well, hallelujah. But, for me, a lot of times it was just getting up and get to the office. Can we just be real? Yeah. Like, can I just get to the office today and adjust my patience and everything else? And then if I'm in the zone and I start working and I'm like, okay, we don't move because we're in the zone, Mm-hmm. So that's my one thing. Does that make sense?
Yep, for sure. Janet, what about you?
For me, I think the one thing, we are in a relationship business, right? So the one thing for me was to just reach out to one person. If it's just one person, even if that was just my upline to help work on something with me or just talk through some stuff, then that was a good day. Or calling your favorite customer that you love to talk to, or, like I said, calling one of my leaders, who my leaders are my best friends anyways. So just call, even if it's just calling one person, and it doesn't even have to be a call. It could be,
Mm-hmm.
A webinar, something. It could be a text message, honestly, but just keep working on those relationships no matter what, because those are the people that are going to carry you through this, and they're also the people who need you too. So.
Love that. Shannon, what do you think? What was the one thing for you?
For me, it was making lists of organized lists. So so part of, for me, was I just had very severe brain fog, and my energy would sort of wax and wane. So I always had a list going of just a list of admin tasks that needed to get done, a list of leads that I had, a list of follow-ups, customer and team follow-ups, and then a list of home activities that needed to get done. And so that way, if I woke up one morning and I had a lot of energy and I was kind of in a groove, I didn't really have to go through and think about what I needed to get done. I would go through the list, and I could take some of the more, high energy things. And then if I had a day where I was, not really able to get out of my pajamas or shower, then I had a list of admin things that I could do, and without having to even think about it. That way I got rid of that barrier of needing to figure out what I was going to do with the time that I had. And so it was a lifesaver. It was the planner pad was when you talked about that, I saw it, I'm like, that's my brain. That's how I can not have to rely on my brain anymore.
That's good. That's great. Cool. Yeah. So as we wrap up here, what's one thing that you would want to leave our viewers or listener, however they're hanging out with us today? What would you want to share with them if they're going through a tough life thing?
I would say you have a choice. You have a choice to let this circumstance that's just there and maybe a season of your life to take you out, take you over, or you have a chance to rise up above it and do whatever you have to do to rise above it, navigate it, deal with it. But there's a really cool video. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's by Will Smith, and he talks about this, and I play it regularly he's like, it's not your fault that someone wrecked your life or this and that, but it's for dang sure it's your responsibility to make sure that you live a healthy life, happy life, and to take that pain and turn it into something good. So that's been my motivation to just keep fighting and rising. So I hope that helps.
That's great. Janet, you want to go?
Yeah, so I would say just be authentic and vulnerable and true to yourself during the situation. People know when you're faking it, and it's good to just be yourself and get through it and keep on keeping on.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And Shannon?
I think for me is to find the meaning in whatever it is that you're doing with your work. Because if your work is meaningful, then it gives you energy and it gives you healing and it does all of these things. And I think that it gets you through a lot of those challenging times. For me, if I ever sort of get into this funk, I just think I need to go out and teach some people, because that's where I find really a lot of meaning in my life. And it instantly just kind of gets me back in the groove. It's when I dissociate myself from my work because I'm trying to overly focus on something else, then I start kind of going down that negativity rabbit hole. But if I really just do the things that I find really energizing in my business, then I always feel better.
Awesome. That's so good. Well, we're going to wrap up because we've been going for a while. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with anyone who listens to it or watches it. Certainly I'm like kind of blown away right now. So thank you guys for just being such amazing role models and being willing to share with everybody. And we look forward, of course, to support you in your goals in the next phase of your life as well. So thank you very much.
Woohoo.
Yeah.